If you're a die-hard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. The Cleveland Browns have never been shy about making bold moves, but their 2022 acquisition of quarterback Deshaun Watson may go down as one of the riskiest and most catastrophic gambles in NFL history. When the Browns traded for Watson from the Houston Texans and immediately handed him a fully guaranteed $230 million contract, eyebrows across the league shot up. That kind of financial commitment, especially to a player with serious off the field controversies and over a year removed from competitive play, was unprecedented. At the time, Cleveland was desperate for a franchise quarterback, someone to lift them out of mediocrity. They believed Watson, a former Pro Bowler with elite talent, could be that guy. What they got instead has been nothing short of a nightmare. In just 3 seasons since the deal, Watson has played in a mere 19 games and now faces the prospect of missing the entire 2025 season due to a torn Achilles. And that's just the start of this financial disaster. Let's break it down. As Watson sits on the sidelines recovering, the Browns still owe him a jaw-dropping $167.1 million. That's right, $167.1 million for a quarterback who has yet to justify even a fraction of that price tag. Worse still, come 2026, Watson's cap hit will balloon to a mind-boggling $80.7 million, a figure so absurd it borders on parody. It's the kind of number that cripples roster building and hinders a team's ability to compete. According to Bleacher Report's recent rankings, this isn't just the worst contract heading into the 2025 season. It could very well be the worst contract in the history of the National Football League. Barring a massive surprise, Cleveland is set to pay out another $167.1 million for Watson to quietly go away, Christopher Knox wrote. Oh, this isn't just the worst active contract in the NFL. It might be the worst deal in league history. That's not just damning, that's devastating. And the numbers don't lie. The Browns are paying elite money for average or worse production. In his limited appearances, Watson has looked nothing like the quarterback he was in Houston. His mechanics appear rusty, his decision-making questionable, and most of all, his ability to stay healthy is rapidly declining. Add to that the public scrutiny surrounding his off-field issues, and you have a player who has brought more distraction than direction. The entire situation has cast a shadow over the franchise, one that's becoming harder to escape with every passing season. Cleveland, once hopeful for a revival, now finds itself locked into a financial straitjacket with no easy escape route. No restructuring, no trade value, and no real return on investment. Just a mountain of guaranteed cash tied to an increasingly unavailable quarterback. To their credit, the Browns aren't sitting on their hands. They've recognized the Watson mistake and have moved aggressively to rebuild the quarterback room. First, they brought in veteran Joe Flacco on a 1-year deal, hoping his experience and leadership could offer stability. Flacco, a Super Bowl MVP, may not be the long-term answer, but he brings credibility and a steady presence in the locker room. Then came a more surprising move, the trade for Kenny Pickett from the Philadelphia Eagles. While Pickett struggled in his early seasons with Pittsburgh, the Browns are banking on a fresh start under new coaching to unlock his potential. These aren't just patchwork signings. They're strategic pivots aimed at mitigating the massive hole left by Watson's contract. But Cleveland wasn't done there. In the 2025 NFL Draft, the Browns made another statement by selecting not one, but 2 quarterbacks, Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. Gabriel, a dual-threat playmaker with a quick release, impressed scouts with his leadership and grit at Oklahoma. Sanders, the son of NFL legend DEION Sanders, turned heads at Colorado with his poise and pocket presence. Both rookies bring different skill sets and high upside, and more importantly, they represent hope. Hope that one of them could blossom into a long-term starter. Hope that a team might finally escape the quarterback carousel that has plagued the franchise for decades. And hope that they might eventually recover from the Watson ordeal financially and competitively. Still, the path forward won't be easy. The Watson contract continues to hang over the organization like a dark cloud. Every dollar tied up in his deal is a dollar that can't be spent elsewhere. on offensive linemen, wide receivers, defensive backs, or any of the other core pieces required to build a championship caliber team. Even if one of the new quarterbacks pans out, they'll be trying to thrive in an environment where the salary cap is stretched to its limits. And while rookie contracts are cheap, success is never guaranteed. Cleveland is essentially gambling. Again, this time with a pair of rookies and a journeyman veteran. It's better than doing nothing, sure, but it's far from ideal. Meanwhile, Watson's future remains uncertain. With yet another serious injury and continued inconsistency, it's hard to imagine him returning to his previous form. Even if he does manage a comeback, will it be enough to justify the monstrous cap hit he carries? The Browns surely didn't expect this kind of return on investment when they made him the highest paid player in the league. His story with Cleveland has gone from potential redemption arc to cautionary tale, a warning to every NFL front office about the perils of desperation and the price of betting the house on a controversial player. If Watson never takes another meaningful snap for the Browns, his contract will still echo for years as a benchmark of what not to do in franchise building. This isn't just about one bad contract. It's about a fundamental shift in how NFL teams assess risk. Fully guaranteed deals were once rare, almost mythical. Watson's contract broke that mold and potentially reset the market in a dangerous direction. Owners and general managers around the league took note. Some feared that Watson's deal would set a new precedent, leading to more guaranteed mega deals. But after seeing the fallout in Cleveland, most are pulling back. The league might be learning a hard lesson through the Browns' pain. A lesson about patience, due diligence, and the long-term implications of short-term decisions. Cleveland, unfortunately, is learning it the hardest way possible. And what about the fans? Brown supporters have endured more than their fair share of heartbreak, and the Watson deal only adds salt to decades-old wounds. They watch the team mortgage its future for a player who has brought little but headlines and heartache. While there's some excitement around the new quarterback prospects, there's also exhaustion. A deep familiar fatigue from watching the same story unfold again and again. Cleveland deserves better. Its fans deserve a team that makes smart decisions, not desperate ones. They deserve a franchise that builds, not burns. And perhaps most of all, they deserve transparency and accountability, not empty promises and million-dollar mistakes. Ultimately, the Watson saga will serve as a landmark in NFL history, not for the records it breaks on the field, but for the caution it inspires off of it. Cleveland made a historic bet and came up empty. Now they're paying the price, quite literally. Whether one of their new quarterbacks can save them from this self-inflicted purgatory remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, the Deshaun Watson contract isn't just the worst deal of 2025. It might be the worst ever. A financial fiasco, a franchise-altering blunder, and a cautionary tale that will echo through league front offices for years to come. The Browns wanted a savior. Instead, they got a $230 million lesson in regret. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. The NFL world is buzzing, and not in a good way, after a shockwave rippled through Cleveland following an outrageous and, frankly, unacceptable comment by none other than DEION Primetime Sanders. The Hall of Famer turned Colorado Buffaloes head coach, known for his confidence and charisma, may have finally crossed the line. In a recent media appearance, Sanders took aim at the Cleveland Browns in a way that stunned fans and players alike. What was meant to be a harmless hot take or some playful shade quickly morphed into a full-blown controversy that's threatening to unravel the Browns' delicate team chemistry. This isn't just about one man's opinion, it's about respect, pride, and a locker room that refuses to be disrespected on the national stage. And make no mistake, the Browns heard every word loud and clear. It all started when Sanders, during an appearance on a national sports podcast, was asked to name teams he believed had no shot at contending this season. With his trademark swagger, Sanders chuckled and casually dropped the Browns' name into the mix. But it didn't stop there. He went on to say, and I quote, "You could give Cleveland an all-star team and they'd still find a way to blow it. That franchise just doesn't know how to win. It's in their DNA." Those words hit like a slap across the face. especially to a team that's been grinding to shed its long-standing reputation as the NFL's doormat. The comment wasn't just critical, it was personal. And inside the Browns locker room, the response was immediate and fiery. According to team insiders, several Browns players were visibly agitated after hearing Sanders' remarks. Myles Garrett, the face of the franchise and a respected leader, reportedly stood up in a team meeting and addressed the comments head on. "We don't need anyone's approval," he said, "but if you think we're going to let someone like DEION define us, you got the wrong team." Sources say Garrett's words electrified the room, with players clapping and shouting in support. The Browns, who've spent years rebuilding their culture, took the comments not just as an insult, but as a challenge. This wasn't some anonymous Twitter troll. This was Deion Sanders, an icon, diminishing everything they've worked for. What makes this situation even more explosive is the timing. The Browns are coming off one of their most promising off seasons in years, with a roster that many analysts have quietly called one of the most complete in the AFC. With Deshaun Watson finally settled, a defense stacked with talent and key additions. Across the board, hopes were high in Cleveland. Sanders' remarks felt like a deliberate shot at the very foundation of that optimism. And for a city that lives and breathes football, it felt personal. Fans immediately flooded social media, with hashtags like Respect Cleveland and We Heard You Prime trending for hours. Browns Nation is fired up, and they're ready to turn that anger into fuel for the season ahead. But this story goes beyond just one quote or one bad take. It's about a deeper tension that's been simmering in the league for years. The perception of the Browns as lovable losers. Despite recent success like their 2020 playoff win over the Steelers, the narrative hasn't fully shifted. Sanders' comment ripped the bandage off that wound. It exposed the lingering doubt still clinging to the franchise in the eyes of outsiders. For the Browns, this is more than just bulletin board material. It's a battle for respect, for legitimacy, and for rewriting their legacy. And ironically, Sanders may have just given them the spark they needed. Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski, always the picture of calm professionalism, addressed the situation in a press conference with the poise of a seasoned diplomat. "We focus on what we can control," Stefanski said, but his eyes said more than his words. There was fire there, a subtle but unmistakable sense of determination. Behind closed doors, sources say Stefanski used Sanders' quote as a rallying cry, showing it on the screen before practice and reminding his players that talk is cheap. That kind of motivational fuel doesn't come along every day, and the Browns intend to use every ounce of it. They're circling week 1 on the calendar, not just as a season opener, but as a statement game. Meanwhile, Sanders hasn't backed down. In a follow-up interview, he doubled down on his critique, saying, "It's not personal, it's just facts. Until Cleveland proves me wrong, I stand by what I said." That only added more gasoline to the fire. What Prime might not realize, though, is that in the NFL, words have weight. When a legend speaks, people listen. And when those words disrespect a team, that team responds. Cleveland isn't just out to prove Sanders wrong. They're out to prove everyone wrong. The Browns social media team even joined the fray, posting a cryptic photo of a lion with the caption, "Every king was once doubted." This incident is a reminder that in today's media landscape, every comment has consequences. Deion Sanders may have been speaking off the cuff, but his words have reverberated far beyond the podcast studio. They've shaken a locker room, lit a fire under a franchise, and potentially changed the course of a season. This is no longer about X's and O's. This is about heart, identity, and pride. The Browns have been down for decades, but they're not staying down anymore. And if Deion wanted to give them a reason to fight harder, he just handed it to them on a silver platter. For years, Cleveland has been the punchline. From losing seasons to front office dysfunction, the team has weathered it all. But slowly, steadily, they've rebuilt, piece by piece, player by player, win by win. They've changed the culture, the expectations, and now the conversation. This latest controversy might be the last piece of motivation they needed, because sometimes disrespect is the greatest gift an underdog can receive. The Browns aren't asking for validation. They're demanding it on the field with their play. And when they step onto that gridiron, they'll carry every word of Deion's comment with them like armor. So now the question is, What comes next? Will the Browns fold under pressure, or will they rise and redefine who they are once and for all? One thing's for certain, they've got the NFL's attention. Thanks to Deion Sanders, the spotlight is on Cleveland in a way it hasn't been in years. And if the Browns can channel this fire into performance, we may look back on this moment as the turning point. Because in football, just like in life, sometimes it takes being disrespected to discover your true strength. And right now, the Cleveland Browns are ready to prove that they're more than just a team. They're a force to be reckoned with. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you like the video, share it with a fellow fan, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!